Hello everybody and welcome to my Minecraft Technipack tutorial, or for those of you who are just using Industrial Craft 2, just a tutorial. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys more about the nuclear reactors, specifically the blocks for making a bunker, as well as protecting the rest of your world from the wrath of your nuclear reactor should something go wrong. So this is just kind of like a little test bunker so you guys can see what it looks like. The solid blocks are reinforced stone. The glass blocks, and I'll turn off creative mode just so you can see this. These are actually reinforced glass. They're obviously a lot stronger and they don't break nearly as fast. As you can see, they're reinforced glass. They have the same blast resistance as the reinforced stone and the reinforced door. They all have a blast resistance of 150, and it supposedly takes 4 reinforced stone to withstand the force of a nuclear blast. Now, I don't entirely agree with that statement, but that's what the wiki says, which I'll be showing you later. So for now, the recipe for reinforced stone is 8 pieces of smooth stone, a piece of advanced alloy in the center. That gives you 8 reinforced stone for that recipe there. The next recipe is reinforced glass, which is 7 pieces of glass in the shape of an eye, with 2 pieces of advanced alloy filling the remaining spots on the left and right. And the final recipe I need to show you guys today is the reinforced door, 6 pieces of reinforced stone like so, and that pretty much covers the 3 recipes you guys need to see. I'm going to show you how I build my reactors and how to build a relatively safe reactor. Now, as I said, as I said, the wiki says to make your walls 4 thick. I'm actually going to make mine 2 thick, as I found that relatively covers the majority of the explosion in a reactor of the size I'm going to make. So I'm actually going to make the floor 2 thick, and then I'm going to make the walls 2 thick, as well as the ceiling. So I'm going to get started with that, and I am going to actually show you guys, or start showing you guys some of the information while I build these walls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Alright, so that's our 13 tall wall. And this is also going to be a 13 by 13 by 13 reactor. So it's going to be 13 wide by 13 long by 13 tall. The reason for that simply because we're changing the size we're reducing the size by 2 each time we add walls on each side. So it's going to be 13 by 13 by 13 on the outside, and only 9 by 9 by 9 on the inside. So that'll give us a 2 thick wall, and it'll still give us enough room to maneuver around on the inside. So now that I've given you guys that information on what I'm going to be doing, I'd just like to talk a little bit more about the information. You should be able to see the wiki information now on reinforced stone. The reason I'm showing you guys this is I want to show you where I'm getting my information from. This is actually on the Industrial Craft 2 wiki, and as you can see, the blast resistance is 150 on the right, and it says that the nuclear reactor explosions, it should technically destroy up to 4 reinforced stone. So if you want the maximum protection, you're going to want a wall that's 4 thick all the way around your reactor, as well as the ceiling and roofs. And of course, that's a lot of smooth stone and advanced alloy if you do choose to do so. If you're looking for moderate protection, 2 thick should be plenty. If you're looking for something a little bit more guaranteed, go with 4, or if you're still worried, go with 5. 4 should be plenty, of course. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm just kind of working my way around. I've got almost 3 of the 4 walls done, and then I'm going to start the second layer of the walls. And one other thing I want to discuss with you guys while I'm building this, just to kind of fill the time that this takes to do. The main reason we're making the inside of the reactor a 9 by 9 by 9 is because of the environmental hazards due to the nuclear reactor hull heating up. As the reactor heats up, different things start to happen. So when the reactor hull hits about 40%, blocks within a 5 by 5 by 5 of the center nuclear reactor block, flammable blocks within a 5 by 5 by 5 have a chance of catching on fire. Sorry. at 50%. Any water source or flowing water blocks within a 5 by 5 by 5 area have a chance of evaporating. So when we put our water block down to have outside cooling on our reactor, we want to make sure that the water block is at least, I believe it's technically 3 blocks away from the main, 3 blocks away from the reactor, or in a 6 by 6 by 6 area. Now, 1 minute. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I just had to go do something really quick. Like I was saying, the water source block just needs to be in a 6 by 6 by 6 area versus the 5 by 5 by 5 to avoid it being evaporated. When the reactor temperature reaches 70%, entities within a 7 by 7 by 7 radius will take radiation damage. Now, normally, when it's below 70%, that damage is only taken when you're within a 3 by 3 by 3, or basically when you're right up against the reactor, which normally doesn't happen. And the only other thing to pay attention, and this is actually really important, so I hope you are paying attention, is when your reactor hull temperature reaches 85%, blocks can actually be turned into lava blocks. Not lava source blocks, but just lava blocks, or catch fire, or any number of terrible things. And this can actually apply to the reactor chambers as well. It can actually turn a lava chamber or a reactor chamber into a lava block, dropping all the items within that reactor chamber, and also causing extra heat on the outside. So if you're running a super powered reactor, you're going to want to watch for that, because if any of your reactor chambers changes into lava, you'd better be standing right there. You're going to be should be expecting an explosion really soon. So I think that pretty much covers that information. I'm almost done here, as you can see. I'm just finishing up the last wall, then I'll do the ceiling, and then we can get to building the actual inside setup for the reactor itself. Alright, so I'm just going to fly down here, and hopefully none of you guys complain because I'm flying. Obviously you can't do that if you're playing legit, but this is just so that I can show you guys what this should probably look like. So this is going to be the top of the 13 by 13 layer. And I'm actually going to grab some torches and just toss these in here for now, just to make sure that when I cover it up, it doesn't get too dark. And these aren't going to be in the way for later, so I might just leave them for now. Well, and later. So let's fill in the last little bit. There we go. We're now going to make the second inside layer, which is the 11 by 11 layer. And of course, because we're inside the reactor, it is going to be much darker since we don't have any glass. And of course, you could, if you wanted, make the entire thing out of reinforced glass, as it does actually have the same blast resistance as the rest of the materials. But I would recommend not doing it that way, just because it might look a little bit ridiculous. We're going to put the door here, and this door works like a iron door. It will only open when supplied with either a button press or a switch. So we're going to leave that open for now. And as you can see, we have, let's count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the center block for our reactor. Now this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, and we'll put it there. So we'll say that the reactor is going to go on top of this block. Now let me just find our nuclear reactor and our reactor chamber, which is somewhere in here. Probably should have grabbed that beforehand. There we go. Now, you do have to put the reactor chamber or the nuclear reactor down first, and it does have to be placed on a block. So if I want to put the reactor chamber down, as you can see, that's not getting placed. So I'm going to put the reactor down, I'm going to break that block, and then I can simply place these around it like so. And of course, you can put this in the dead center of the reactor. That's probably best. But for now, it really doesn't matter. I usually actually believe I place mine one lower than this, just because I'm kind of lazy that way. Well, not because I'm lazy, but that's just what I prefer to do. So now we're going to do, and here we go. Just trying to think of how to explain this properly. Okay. So as you can see, what I've done here is where this is centered, I've actually put a pillar in the middle. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to delete these blocks in the middle. But I've placed 4 pillars in the positions, like as you can see, this looks like a plus from above. The pillars are placed in the bottom left, bottom right, and like top right, top left of the plus space, and they're placed 1 block below the lowest reactor chamber. If you place them here, that's not going to work. And the reason for this is because when we place our water source, which we're actually going to place directly above the reactor in this block here, and of course I'm deleting blocks. As you can see, I've deleted the 5x5 area at the bottom minus the pillars. I would recommend, if you decide to do it this way, you're going to either want to thicken the bottom out below that or just simply raise the floor so that you don't have to do this. You can raise the floor and do this rather than deleting blocks off the bottom. Probably makes more sense to raise the floor, but I chose to do it this way. So I'm going to put the water in there, and as you can see, the water, and hopefully I can show you guys this so you can see the water. The reactor measures the water cooling by counting how much water, and it counts the flowing blocks as well, is within a 3x3 radius of the center block. Now we have each reactor chamber. So this reactor to this reactor is 3. This reactor to this reactor chamber is 3, and the top one to the bottom one is 3. So we want water on all 4, like all 8 blocks on the top, the 4 blocks in between, the 4 chambers around the edges, and all 8 blocks down here. Now the complicated part is simply getting the water down at the bottom. And the way that we do that, and I'll delete this and explain. As you can see, the water actually, when the water drops off the top, it hits here, hits the top of the first reactor, and goes down all 4 sides. And then it hits these reactors, and it goes off all 3 sides of each individual reactor chamber, and then it falls down to the pillars, and it falls off the edge down into the 5x5. Now when the water hits the pillars, because there are 4 ways it can fall, it again falls 4 different directions, which means the water actually enters this block here and this block here, and then it also falls on the outside. Now if you don't do this, the water is simply going to fall straight down, and you will not get any water in any of these blocks here other than the kind of diagonal corner ones. And that means you're missing 4 blocks of water cooling. So that's pretty much, I think, all I really needed to show you guys for this. It's pretty straightforward, I think. It's not too complicated, at least in my mind. If you have any other questions, I can explain this better. And of course, it doesn't need to be quite this large. But the 7x7 area that I was mentioning before about the radiation is actually the inside walkway portion. So if this was at 85% or 85% damage, or 85% hull heat, if I stand here, I'm actually going to start taking damage, and that's not what we want. That's why it's a 9x9 on the inside that gives us room to walk around without having to worry about taking damage if it is running at high temperatures. If it's not, then it really doesn't matter. Of course, we can reach this from here quite easily. Now, if you're going to, and this is actually something I will show as well, if you're going to allow for, say, for example, you want There we go. You want to attach a power line to this reactor. And I'm going to go down here and I'm just going to select glass fiber cable, for example. And we can attach that like so. And as you can see, I've built a little tower here, and I've placed a block here to stop the water from flowing here. Now, if I delete this block, the water will stay. If I do this, and I replace this water block up here, I want to show you what happens if you don't put that block there. If we don't put that block there, when the water comes down, and apparently I've officially broken that part of the water. Normally the water would come down off this, it would hit the electrical pipe, and it would spread onto your floor. Now you can solve that just by breaking this again. The only problem is eventually the water is going to hit the floor, and it's going to look really bad if you have to break part of your walkway. So, by not having much luck with this, am I? By placing one, that was terrible thing to do. I didn't need to do that. But placing one block directly above your electrical output pipe, you'll save yourself a lot of work. And then you can simply pipe this, like so, out to wherever you want. And then by breaking this wall, we can then pipe that directly out. And I'll actually come out here so we can see this from out here. Close that up. And as you can see, we now have one small hole here, but that's not that big of a deal. Again, we've got the rest of the reactor properly secured, so piping all this energy out is going to be a breeze. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I hope I did a good job of explaining this. It's not the most complicated thing, but it is something that requires a little bit of know-how and knowledge and a little bit of tricks, as you can see, to get the best performance out of your reactor chamber. As well, if you need to do anything with redstone, it works along the same lines. Of course, you need a block below where the redstone is going to be. So, for example, you would actually need a block here and a block there, and you could then run your redstone wherever you want, and it works along the same principle. As long as you have a block here, the water won't touch the redstone, and you're fine. One thing to be aware of: I don't believe the reactor chambers react properly to switches or buttons. I don't think buttons really work regardless, but they don't like switches, so just be warned. If you want to turn on and off your reactor, you're going to have to use proper redstone hooked up to a separate switch. And that should be that. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this is helpful, and if there's something you don't understand, please let me know. And I can either remake the video, or I can just leave a comment with to let you know what's up, or I can even just make a second video on top of this just to try and explain a little bit better what's going on. So thanks, guys. Good luck and have fun.